What's good, everyone? It's Weebius back with another video. In this video, it will be all in person, no playing games, literally. But instead, I'm gonna start a new series. I know this is a little different from what I normally do. The series is going to be basically me building decks. This time, I will be getting into the art of mono vampire decks. Vampire decks are probably one of the ones I have the most of. I know I have at least one red-black vampire. I have at least two red-black-white vampire decks. I think I have at least one black-white vampire deck. And then I have at least one red, black, and blue vampire deck. And so I decided to make a mono one because I don't have a mono one. So I will be making a mono black deck, a mono black vampire deck with some of my favorite cards. Unfortunately, because I do have so many vampire decks, my mono deck is probably not going to be as good as it could be. But on that note, let's get into it. Alright, so here I've got a binder. It's black-blue, but we will only be touching the black. Right off the bat, we've got this guy, Queen's Agent, which isn't bad. The biggest downside to Queen's Agent is it's a 6 mana 3/3 with lifelink, and when it enters the battlefield, it explores. And basically what that means is reveal the top card of your library, put that card into your hand if it's a land, otherwise put a +1 counter on this creature, then put the card back or put it into your graveyard. So not 100% keen on him. But then we've got, personally, one of my favorite uncommon vampires. We've got the Vengeful Vampire, which is a 3/2 for 6 mana, flying, undying. I've thrown him into some really nice combos before, so definitely Queen's Agent and Vengeful Vampire are going to be maybes, 100%. And then I turn the page, and right off the bat, I've got two more vampires on these next couple pages. We've got Calassia Nightwatch, which is a 5 mana 4/5 vampire warrior ally. Whenever you gain life, it gains flying until end of turn. And then the other one is Senger Vampire, which is a 5 mana 4/4 flying. Whenever a creature dealt damage by it dies, put a +1 counter on him. That's my Calassia Nightwatch. And then that is the Senger Vampire. Typically, I'm not too keen on allies because typically in the past, allies you've had to have basically an ally deck for them to be good. I like what they did with the new ones where you do a certain thing and it gains abilities. Both of these are maybes. Another one that stands out that's not a vampire but rather a sorcery. In fact, there are a couple of them on here. We've got, they're both, all, so, I changed my mind. There's actually 3 that interest me on this page. Unfortunately, it's going to make my deck very expensive if I add all 3, especially considering what they do. But we've got Certain Death, which is a 6 mana sorcery. Here, let me pull this up real quick. And it says destroy target creature, its controller loses 2 life and you gain 2 life, which isn't bad. And then Assassin's Strike is another one. This one, destroy target creature, and its controller discards a card, which is pretty good too. And then the other one is Coastline to the Pit, which is another 6 mana destroy target creature, but this one deals 2 damage to that creature's controller. So those are a couple of the sorcerers that stand out to me on this one. I might throw one of them in. We'll have to wait until later. And then turn the page. Apparently I have found my Vampire Haven. For at least right now. Off the bat, the next page has Shadowcloak Vampire, Markov Crusader, Stromkirk Patrol, and then the page after that has Twins Mar Estate, as well as Anointed Deacon. There are a couple I could see myself throwing into a mono black vampire, which are Markov Crusader for sure, Stromkirk Patrol, and then definitely Anointed Deacon. Those 3 are possibilities. And of course we've got the Markov Crusader right there. Stromkirk Patrol. And then Anointed Deacon. The other 2, Shadowcloak Vampire, in my opinion, isn't actually very good. Like, we've got, so he's a 5 mana, 4/3, and then you pay 2 life, and it gains flying until end of turn. So in my opinion, that's not very good at all, whatsoever. And then Twins of Mara Estate is a 5 mana 3/5 with Madness of 1 black 2 random. If you discard this card, discard it into exile. When you do, cast it for its Madness cost, or put it into your graveyard, which could be good for combos. I'm just not very good at that kind of combo. I hate discarding. That's like one of my biggest things. is I hate discarding. The next page doesn't have any vampires. Actually, these next couple pages don't have any vampires. There are definitely a couple of other spells that do speak to me. Like Death's Caress is definitely a good one. So Death's Caress is, oh my god. This guy, 5 mana sorcery, and destroy target creature. If it was a human, you gain life equal to its toughness, which is really nice. Essence Drain is another one. It deals 3 damage to target creature or player, and I gain 3 life. And it is also 5 mana. And then this one also speaks to me. It's called Curse of Thirst. It's an aura curse. Curses, for those who don't know, you can enchant a player. Say I'm playing someone and I play Curse of Thirst. Now it's attached to them, and it says at the beginning of each player, at the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, Curse of Thirst deals damage to that player equal to the number of curses attached to him or her. The problem with that is you'd have to make a curse deck, but that's still a really good card. All the same. And then obviously another non-vampire one that I really like is Rise from the Grave. 5 mana sorcery. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. That creature is a black zombie in addition to its other types. Which makes it really useful for acquiring creatures from your enemies. Yeah, I think that's the only one that really stands out to me on this page. That's non-vampire. If I really wanted to, I could do Final Parting. It's a 5 mana sorcery. That one kind of stands out to me, not nearly as much as Rise from the Grave, but still. It says search your library for 2 cards, put one of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. Again, you'd have to do it with a certain combo because you could essentially get 2 cards for free. On these next couple pages, the only vampire I have is Driver of the Dead, which is a 4 mana 3/2, and when it dies, return target creature card with converted mana cost of 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and he looks like that. Unfortunately for me, I really like the big beefy vampires. I'll have to go through my other vampire decks for y'all sometime. But on this next page, we have Duskmantle Prowler, which is definitely a possibility. He's a really good one. So he's a 4 mana 2/2 with haste and exalted. Haste, obviously, it just says this creature can attack and tap as soon as it comes under your control. which obviously, if you've been playing for a while, you know that creatures have summoning sickness when they first enter. And Exalted says, whenever a creature you control attacks alone, that creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Exalted was a big thing a while ago. I even own an Exalted deck currently, which is really good. So that's definitely a possibility for this. I'll be honest, I don't even know if I have enough vampire-esque things to go into this, but we're sure as hell gonna try. God damn it. On this next one, Weight of the Underworld is one of the ones that stands out to me, as well as Mark of the Vampire. Alright, so Weight of the Underworld, well, both of them are enchantment auras for 4 mana. Weight of the Underworld is enchant creature. Enchanting creature gets -3/-2. And then Mark of the Vampire, enchanting creature gets +2/+2 and has lifelink. So both of these I'm actually going to put over here as potential enchantments for that, mostly because they're really good enchantments. You can either weaken your foes, creatures, or you could just outright kill them with Weight of the Underworld. And then obviously Mark of the Vampire, you give lifelink to something. And then on this next page, I'm not entirely seeing anything that stands out that's like, wham, you should put me in there. Actually, there is one, March of the Returned. Actually, there's 2. I lied. So March of the Returned is a 4 mana sorcery that says return up to 2 target creatures from your graveyard to your hand. Obviously that's really good. And then the other one is Blood Tithe. So Blood Tithe is a 4 mana sorcery as well, and each opponent loses 3 life and you gain life equal life lost this way. So if you're up against multiple opponents, this comes in really handy. Or if you're doing Two-Headed Giant, well, Two-Headed Giant really doesn't count. Now I'm thinking about it, because you have shared life, so that wouldn't really work, but yeah. Forget I said that. I don't play Two-Headed Giant all that often. So on this next one, there is a creature that is kind of interesting. On here, it's called Pestilent Spirit. It's a 3 mana spirit that's a 3/2 with menace and death touch. But its other ability says instants and sorcery spells you control have death touch. So it's rather interesting. Unfortunately, I don't have any instants or sorceries that deal damage directly like that, so it wouldn't be beneficial for this deck. But if I were to make a black and red deck, that would be perfect. But on that note, there are 3 vampires, 2 of which actually don't have abilities. So we've got Barony Vampire, which is a 3/2 for 3 mana. Right there. And then we've got Vampire Noble, which is also a 3/2 for 3 mana. Right there. And then the third one is Blood Mist Infiltrator. And it is a 3 mana 3/1. But he says whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, he can't be blocked this turn. Which, if you beef him up enough, that could be really good. If not, that's just kind of really shitty. Definitely put him in consideration. 100%. And then on the next page, we've got 3 vampires. One of them would be really good in combo with that other one, just because it can also make tokens. That one would be the Pawn of Ulamog, which is a 3 mana 2/2. The downside is it says whenever Pawn of Ulamog or another non-token creature you control dies, you may put a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token onto the battlefield. It has sacrificed this creature. Add 1 mana to your mana pool. So I do have to sacrifice with him, but otherwise he's actually really good. And then one of my favorite cheap vampires is the Vampire Nighthawk, which is a 3 mana 2/3 flying death touch lifelink. Enough said. He's going in there no matter what. I love that card to death. And then the other one is called Nirkana Assassin. It's a 3 mana 2/3 as well. And whenever you gain life, Nirkana Assassin gains death touch until end of turn. That's what he looks like. He's kind of an ugly mofo, isn't he? Actually, I'm definitely going to put Pawn of Ulamog into consideration. I don't know why I put him back. So, there are technically 2 on this one. Just one doesn't start off as a vampire. So we've got the Chosen of Markov, which is a human, but you tap her and tap an untapped vampire you control, and then transform her. She starts off as a 2/2 for 3 mana, and then she turns into Markov's Servant, which is a 4/4 with no ability. So I'll put her into consideration. And then we've got Falconraft Torturer, which is a 3 mana 2/1. With sacrifice a creature, it gains flying until end of turn. If the sacrificed creature was a human, put a +1 counter on Falconraft Torturer. He's kind of a nice little creature if you've got a human deck with him in it, like a human sack deck. Not a whole lot pops on this one. Alright, we'll go to the next page. This one, I do have another enchantment that pops, speaks to me. It's called Bastion of Remembrance. 3 mana enchantment. When it enters battlefield, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. And whenever creature I control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Let's see. This is honestly turning out to be a longer video than I anticipated. And I came in here with a plan of what I was somewhat going to do. This is another one that I definitely like. It's an instant. It's called Grave Purge. 3 mana, and put any number of target creature cards from your graveyard on top of your library. Then you draw a card. So that's definitely a good one. Can't go wrong with the classics. Well, it's classic for me, for, you know, a discard deck. It's called Mind Rot. Target player discards 2 cards. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Alright, then, definitely, so this is another really good one. Morbid Plunder, 3 mana, and return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. I really like that. Looks like that's all the black that's in my binder. Let's see how many cards this is. If it's 36, I'm just going to stop there. If not, I'll move on to a stack of mixed and matched cards. See if I can find something. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Alright, so I'm missing 16 cards. So I'm going to move on to my giant stack. Boom. These are black cards that I haven't had a chance to put in here yet. I feel only right that I put one of the cheapest vampires in there. It's called Child of Night. 2 mana, 2/1, lifelink. It's always nice. I'm gonna put Consume Spirit in there as well. So it costs 1 black, 1 random, and X. Spend only black mana on X. Consume Spirit deals X damage to target creature and or player, and you gain X life. Which is always nice, of course. Yeah, this is what I was talking about, because I found a Kalastria healer. So it's a 2 mana 1/2 with Rally. Whenever it or another ally enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So allies typically are only good if you have an ally deck. Not always, as we've seen, there are others that do not do that. Alright, so I'm going to put Altar's Reap. Only because I have a lot of return stuff in there anyways, so it's completely fine. But Altar's Reap is a 2 mana instant that says, as an additional cost to cast Altar's Reap, sacrifice a creature, and then draw 2 cards. And then I'm also going to put Liliana's Caress in there, which is a 2 mana enchantment. Whenever an opponent discards a card, that player loses 2 life. But that also means I'm going to have to put some more stuff to discard. Whole lot of anything in here. Because it is mono black, I'm actually going to put Defile in here, which is a 1 mana instant. It says target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each swamp I control. So that's always a good one. I'll go with Raven's Crime, which is a 1-mana sorcery. Target player discards a card, and it's got Retrace. You may play this card from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to paying its other costs. Right there. I probably won't use the Retrace very often because that's shitty. I'm going to throw in Dead Weight. It's a 1-mana enchantment. Enchanted creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. So that one's always good. And then I'll throw in Duress as well. It's a 1-mana sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Only because it gives me more discard stuff, if I'm being honest. And then I'll throw in Shadow Alley Denizen, 1-mana, 1/1 Vampire Rogue. Whenever another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gains Intimidate until end of turn. Let me count them again. So I've got 29 here. So I'm still missing 7. And the reason I said 36 is because I think 36 and 24 is a good number. Depending on the deck, some decks you should definitely have more land or more other things. And then I'm going to throw in Mind Drain. It's a 3-mana sorcery that says target opponent discards 2 cards, mills a card, and loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. Right there. And then obviously I'm going to add Blood Artist, which is a 2 mana 0/1 vampire. Whenever Blood Artist or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Woo! And then I'm going to throw in Curse of Shallow Graves, which is a 3 mana enchantment or a curse. Enchant player, whenever a player attacks enchanted player with 1 or more creatures, that attacking player may put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield tapped. It's not a vampire, but I'm gonna throw it in anyways, just because I can. It's called Priest of Forgotten Gods. It's a 2 mana human cleric, and it's a 1/2. Tap it, sacrifice 2 other creatures. Any number of target players each lose 2 life and sacrifice a creature. And then you add 2 black mana to your mana pool and draw a card. And it looks like that. I'm going to throw in Blood Glutton, which is a 5 mana 4/3 with lifelink. Mostly just so I have some actual muscle in there. Alright, let's see. Looks like I'm still missing 2. I actually am going to go with another Mind Rot. And I'm gonna go with March of the Drowned. I'm aware that March of the Drowned would be better if I had a pirate deck, but I do not. So there's really no point in it just sitting in my extras. And it's a 1 mana return card that I would be stupid not to do. For those who don't know, it's a 1 mana sorcery. Choose one. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, or return 2 target pirate cards from your graveyard to your hand. But that's about it. Took me about 50 minutes to gather everything for this, which is pretty good. The only thing left is to add the land, which is all just going to be swamps, because there's not much point in me doing multicolored lands, and I don't think I have any good lands that just add swamp. So on that note, please, if you want me to continue with this series, please like, comment, and subscribe, and even suggest down below in the comments what type of deck you would want me to make, whether it be a fucking pirate deck. I'll make a pirate deck. I don't think I have very many good pirates, but I will make one. But that being said, that's about all I got. So I'll see y'all in a couple days.